Hi, I'm Bethany Warren, and you are joining me to listen to the podcast of our Millwall fan show with the No One Likes Us talking team and hosted by Eamon Barkley, which is available every Friday at 8 p.m.
But it's not at 8 p.m. today, it's at lunchtime on Friday because we're down to the Royal Borough of Greenwich for the 8:15 kick-off against Charlton Athletic. I'm your host, Eamon, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Patricia Maslin, Jeff Burnage, and George Lampy.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Well, Pat, you've been busy this week, campaigning, going and viewing art and making critical acclamations about it. You've also been getting involved in great discussions on social media about the whys and wherefores of so many things. I don't know how you're with us tonight, but how are you?
Well, I'm still alive after all the criticism and that, but I spent 2 days down watching the Neil Harris graffiti being put back, and it was brilliant.
Well, that's lovely, absolutely lovely. Watching paint dry is a wonderful experience, so they tell me. Jeff, back in the hot seat once again. And are you back to work as yet?
Still working from home, if you can call it work. I haven't done much this week. I'm afraid after Tuesday night, I was a bit down in the dumps on Wednesday, so I didn't do much then, and I haven't done much more today. But there you are. Perhaps a win tonight will liven me up just in time for the weekend.
It probably will.
Let's hope his boss ain't listening to that, eh?
Yeah, you never know, do you? That'd be interesting. We'll send him a personal copy. Now, George, you've stopped trolling round the fields of Swanley, I understand now, and you're going more farther afield.
Yes, the golf courses are open, aren't they, and things like that. So, I'm doing some other stuff besides walking around the fields these days, yeah.
That always makes for good fun. Right, first up, we will take a view on our draw against Swansea in the week when Millwall scored 1 goal through Mason Bennett, a fantastic strike, and in the second half, Swansea managed to get an equaliser from their Liverpool loanee, who struck our crossbar, and the ball struck the back of Bielkowski, an own goal. We also have BBC and Millwall follow Carl Bates with us today. Carl, you were closest to the action. What did you reckon?
Unfortunately, I think a draw was probably just about fair. Going forwards, another great move down the right. Marlon Romeo, brilliant challenge to release Jed down the right. Mason Bennett making a cracking run from left into the centre. Nice finish. But I think that was the difference, unfortunately, when Mason Bennett went off. Second half, we seemed to run out of ideas to an extent. Swansea grew into the game, got their luck with the goal, and then we were resorting to set pieces, really. Murray Wallace obviously nearly scored late on.
Yeah.
But I think when Mason Bennett went off, that made a difference to us in an attacking threat anyway.
Yeah. Pat, what did you reckon, mate?
Definitely our best of our 3 games we played. I just think that Bart trying to save that, he was very theatrical. I mean, he could have got to that better. He didn't have a long way to dive for it. And I know you say it's unlucky, but I think it was bad the way he done it. It was I blame him for that. Wallace was unlucky with the 2 strikes he got near the goal. I know he hit the post. I just think the team looked very lethargic. There doesn't seem to be any urgency in the play. And obviously, when Mahoney come on, he looked really unfit. I don't know. I'm just being so disappointed with the last 3 games.
Yeah, it might be that headband that's weighing him down a bit. How about you, Jeff? What did you reckon?
Well, I agree with Pat. I thought the goalkeeper should have saved that. It wasn't in the corner. It was probably, 4 or 5 feet inside the post. Yeah, I think he could have saved that. And apart from the goal line clearance, they did not threaten us, really. They didn't really threaten to score, I don't think. I thought we deserved to win. I didn't think a draw was a fair result. I thought we were on top. I thought we had more control of the game for about 3/4 of it. But we didn't have a strong enough front three to go and win a home game, unfortunately. That would be my view.
Yeah, and you, George?
Yeah, along the lines of the guys, the one thing that I'm surprised that Pat and Jeff have said is that they thought the goalie was at fault, because actually that's exactly what I thought. Now, I heard Cole say how what a marvellous free kick it was, and it may well have been, but I thought, our goalie was a little bit slow in getting there, which is unusual for him. But one other thing I would like to say, I thought Bradshaw didn't have one decent pass to him in the entire game. And I feel for the boy. He's running around, he's trying, he's not getting much help, I don't think.
So, all in all, it wasn't a bad performance, but maybe a goalkeeping fault with old Bart, and Bradshaw's not getting the service.
I agree with George about Bradshaw.
Yeah.
I think that is absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
A centre forward can only look good if he's getting stuff to work with. And particularly in the second half, before he went off, he didn't get anything to work with. And as I said before, as a front three, that wasn't that great on the night.
Thanks, Jeff. That's great. We'll get you back a bit later, Carl. But as for now, au revoir. Talk to you in a little while. And now we're going to talk to a Millwall player from the past. We focus on a different era to that which we have in the past few weeks, and we welcome a Yorkshire-born former Lion who started his footballing career at York City. Non-league football followed before he headed to the Czech Republic, and it's a lovely place to go, to join FK Baník in the Czech First Division in 2007. He returned to the English League with Doncaster Rovers in 2009, followed by spells at Northampton and Yeovil, from where he joined the Lions in 2014. And he remained with us, bar a short return on loan to Yeovil, until he initially joined Scunthorpe and then Carlisle. But he has now rejected a new contract with them and is a free agent. So if you're listening, this man was a really good partner to Mark Beavers when we had the pairing of them together. Now, if anyone's at Peterborough, I think Mark Beavers is there at the moment, or he was anyhow before all this happened. But yes, it is the one and only, and you can tell him by that glorious hairstyle that he always possessed, the one and only Byron Webster. Welcome, Byron.
Good afternoon, guys. Yeah, the hairstyle's definitely changed over lockdown. I've got the Essex comb over now, so I'm looking like you Southerners.
Oh.
Sorry, you don't like that Essex and the deep south. They're not the same, I'm told. Oh, but you still all have the sweep over and the flat caps. I've got my flat cap out as well.
You got the whippet with you?
Well, that's enough northern stereotypes. Come on.
Yeah, you never know where it might be or where we'll go. Anyhow, it's great to have you on the show, Byron. You made quite a name for yourself amongst the fans for being, mind you, I think you've just lost it now from what you just said, from being in the stands with them when you were not playing. People have said you've been present at games since you left us too. I suspect you still follow the Lions. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I had a fantastic time down there. Even to be fair, being back up north, I support Man United. I play for Millwall, so I'm really hated up here. So there's not many people around Leeds that actually like me. But no, I had a great time at Millwall. My family loved it. My mum and dad were there at every game. My brother home and away as well. So yeah, my time was fantastic. And like you say, when I can, I still get back to games. I still speak to a lot of the lads. So it was a big part of my life.
Yeah.
Hello, Byron. It's Pat here.
Hi, Pat.
You made more than 130 appearances for us. I believe this was the most you made anywhere in your career. How would you describe the atmosphere of playing at the Den and away with Millwall?
Fantastic. Like you said, I've seen it both hands when I was injured, and I went to a few away games as a fan. try and go in disguise, hood up, but I do stand out like a sore thumb, so that was a bit hard. But yeah, I see the passion while I'm actually in with the fans, and then when you're on the pitch, the noise that's generated, both when you're doing well and when you're not doing well. Millwall fans aren't shy to tell you when you need to kick up the butt, which is a good thing. Because especially nowadays, there's so many people on social media, on the internet that can write rubbish about you, who don't even know you, probably haven't even been to the game. Whereas you go to a Millwall game, the fans are there, they'll tell you. But they'll also tell you when you've done something good as well. So, a lot of games stand out. We had some good cup runs. We obviously had the promotion, the disappointment of losing in the final, but the one that stands out for me, I think it was the first, the time we lost to Barnsley in the final. I think we played, was it Bradford at home or in 2 legs?
It was.
Yeah.
And we were winning, the ball's going out, and the noise that game was incredible. Like, it was just, the noise was deafening. So that's the main game that stands out for me. Like I say, I was fortunate when I was at Millwall that we had a lot of good times together.
Byron, it's George. Hello, mate.
Oh, yeah.
You're obviously talking about the Bradford playoff, the semi-finals, and you're talking about the atmosphere and that. But any other points that you remember from them games?
I remember getting injured for him in 2 minutes before the end of the game and thinking, oh my God, no, the hamstring's tight. And then trying to get it right before the final against Barnsley and feeling it again in the warm-up. So that's what I remember of it. But no, I remember, if I'm right, is it the time we went to their place and we went 1-0 down from a penalty? I think it's that year. And then Joe Martin put a free kick in the top bins. And then Morrow goes to score, I think, and I can't remember who got the other goal. But we always, sounds cocky this, even when I got promotion with Yeovil, we knew we were going to win that semi-final, and we knew we were going to beat Bradford. Same when we had them in the final, we knew what was going to happen the year that we won. They'd have a lot of the ball, and as soon as we got a chance, when you had Greggs and Morrow up top, you knew we were going to win, definitely.
Byron, it's Jeff here. So let's move on to that second season, the semis. Am I right in thinking who was that against? The semis that year?
Scunthorpe, was it?
Was.
Scunthorpe,
we played Scunthorpe the second year.
My mind's a blank on that one, but it certainly isn't a blank for the final. Having missed out the previous year, which you did, didn't you? You got injured in the warm-up the previous year. We've got that right. And you played in the next one in 16.
Yep, that's correct.
And, okay, what was it like walking out at Wembley in front of those Millwall fans? Did it G you up as a team, or did you not need G'ing up?
We didn't need G'ing up, but it never harms. It's never, something that's not a good thing. Like I said, the build-up the whole time towards the Wembley trip, you couldn't go anywhere without people talking about it. So you knew, and there was a bit of pressure on us because obviously the expectation from Millwall fans, doesn't matter what league you're in or whatever, they always demand from you. And I think because we had the misfortune of losing to Barnsley and the gaffer, Neil Harris, had put a good team together, there was a bit of pressure for us to perform and to go up. And like I said, that group of lads, we were so close. Not just, it's this old cliche, on and off the pitch. We got on well. And like I said, there was no way we was going to lose that game. Sounds cocky, arrogant, whatever, but it's true. We were never going to lose that game.
So we go into the last few minutes of the game against Bradford in that final. What sort of view did you get of that winning goal? And were you the first to get to Morrow to celebrate?
No, I'm quite a superstitious person, and I have a thing that when we scored, I don't know if it's because I was lazy and I couldn't be bothered to run that far to get up with them that high up, but I used to just go and celebrate with Jordan Archer. So we used to have a thing where we used to go shake hands, have a cuddle, whatever it was. So yeah, when he scored, and I just remember looking up, and it was just like not even people, just a wave of arms, legs, heads, everything going all over the place. And then looking up at the scoreboard, thinking, right, we haven't got long now. We can, perfect time him scoring. But then they actually had a chance near the end where lad, Tony McMahon, he had a shot, I think, in rush of blood, and he should have actually crossed it or squared it. But thankfully it went over.
What was your expectations on the club returning to the Championship?
Like I said, we were all excited for it, and I think it shows from the way the lads did. That year, that season, I started off playing. I think I played about 10, 12 games, and then had the misfortune of getting a knee injury, so that kind of killed my season. But yeah, there was. I think if you look at it, people who get promoted, there's a regular occurrence of them going bounce to bounce or doing well. They get promoted and they get promoted again, or they get promoted and they establish themselves as in that league. And it just proves that's what Millwall have done now. They've obviously got the new manager of Gary Rowett in as well. Watching them the other night, the style of play has changed a little bit. I spoke to Willow afterwards, and obviously they've got him and what's it called? Is it Woods in midfield, who are ball-playing midfielders. And speaking to the lads, there's still that close group. They enjoy each other's company. So that's what I see. Sometimes that sounds a bit like we're not good footballers. We were good footballers, but we were good people, good lads, and we had the gaffer who demanded from us. And like I say, the fans are a major part of that because they do demand from you. And like I say, you can be. Well, many times me, Morrow and Aidan will be sitting having a coffee, and if one of us had a bad game, a fan would come up to us and go, "Are you all right?" "Yeah, why? What happened on Saturday?" You know what I mean? Like things like that. And it was special because there was no nastiness, no bitchiness. It was just people being real. And you realise, you know what, I need to pull my finger out here. And that's why I enjoyed myself so much. They're just honest people like us Northerners. No places to hide.
So we go into the 16-17 season. We finished 6th, which is marvellous. But forgetting that for a moment, we had quite a run in the FA Cup. What was the bits that stood out for you? What ties out of all of them stood out for you?
It was just beating all the Premiership teams. I mean, the good thing I did, I got a lot of decent shirts that I've stuffed away somewhere in my house. So that was a good thing. But it was the main bit that actually stands out for me, and you'll probably deny it to this day. But I remember a throw-in when we played Leicester, and Ben Chilwell, obviously he was a lot younger then, and the ball went out, and the ball went near the Millwall fans, and he wouldn't go and get it. And I think called over the centre.
They said he was crying, didn't they?
Speaking to Morrow actually the other day after Millwall, who did Derby scored a hat trick, the 18-year-old, and Morrow was saying to me, "Do you know what? If that is in like normal circumstances, and they're playing in front of the fans, there's no way an 18-year-old is scoring a hat trick at the Den, not in a million years." And it's true that us as players, we knew that with the fans, we were already 1-0 up. There was the fans did their part, so we only had to not even show up and play like expansive football. Just show up, give our all, and the fans would be with us. And yeah, that's the main thing that stands out when we played against Leicester. That the fact that we'd beaten them before we'd even got involved in the game, really. Obviously, we had the good results against Watford and Bournemouth as well, but it's the Leicester one that really stands out for me.
Well, I think they were the reigning Premier League champions, weren't they?
They were.
They were, yeah.
So, but no one's forgotten the Ben Chilwell incident, Byron. Everyone remembers that. But let's be fair. He has progressed since then. He's now a very, very good player. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's off to Chelsea. That's what I'm getting told by one of my good Chelsea friends, supporters.
Well, they're looking for a left back, on what I can see.
He fits the bill, eh?
Yeah, so maybe Millwall fans can take a bit of credit for his progression in his career, that they toughened him up a little bit.
Hey, we steeled him. That was it.
Exactly, yeah, that's
we did
what it
that.
is.
No doubt about it. George, you got another question about the game tonight, I think.
Yes, I have indeed. I mean, you've played a few times against the Charlton, and who we're playing this evening. Potentially a continuing record of nearly 26 years. How do you think it's going to go tonight then? And have you got any sort of fond memories of the derby games?
Yeah, I have. It sounds crazy, but with Millwall, there seems to be derbies, even if they're not even from like the London area.
No,
Well, that's
Leeds,
true.
Sheffield teams. Do you know what I mean? So like every game, or not every game, but a lot of the games are all, come on, this is a derby. I remember the gaffer saying, lads, come on, this, like say Leeds, we need to beat Leeds, or Charlton, and he'd tell us the record, and it sounds like, for me as a Northerner going to Millwall, that didn't mean a lot really, but when you've got people like Tomo in the team, Sid Nelson was there, and you see them and thinking, like, we can't lose to these, we have to beat them, and it just goes around the changing room then. So yeah, like I said, we had, I think one that stands out, I think we beat Charlton either 3-1 or 3-0 at the Den. I think Morrow got a couple that day, and I can't remember who scored. Oh, Aidan scored an header, yeah, at the back post, that's why I remember it, because he never scored an header in his life. But yeah, so they were good times against Charlton, even at their place. I mean, their fans, but our away fans there, I always remember behind the goal, you just looked up and it was rammed, absolutely rammed of our fans. And it's little things, obviously, that the fans don't see, but when we rock up on the coach and, you know, there's the Charlton fans banging on us coach, or there's the Millwall fans giving it the Millwall chants, and, you know, it gets, if you didn't need, well, you shouldn't need a buzz for the game, but it gives you that extra buzz to think, you know what, we're here, we've got a job to do. Let's get in, get out, and get back home.
And how do you, what do you think the prediction will be for tonight, mate?
Charlton need the points, don't they? You say Millwall now, obviously they're there or thereabouts around the playoffs, but I think the form goes out of the window for games like this. You've got a lot of lads, like I say, Tomo's still there. There's the young lad Billy Mitchell, who are Millwall through and through, but you've got people like Willow, Jed, Hutch, Coops have been at Millwall for a long time, Marlon. So the Millwall boys, they know that they can't lose. So I'll go, yeah, I think they'll keep a clean sheet, Millwall, and I think it'll be 2-0.
Good for you.
Well done.
That's a reasonable result for us. I'll take that, Byron.
Yeah.
You were and still are very much appreciated by the fan base. Your appearances became limited on your return to the Championship, and you subsequently moved on to Scunthorpe, as I previously mentioned. You certainly put in some shifts for us with tenacious performances, and you were a key performer in getting us back into that second tier. It must have been tough to leave, although family were from north of York.
Yeah, it was. Like I say, I had good times there. But after I did have my injury, I was out for a while. Came back, played a couple of games, and I thought, I might get a fair crack at this. But it's football. There's no one stands still in this game. So when I was out injured, Gaffer's looking around, finding people, and it was a case that I had a great relationship with Neil Harris. Don't get me wrong, we had a few run-ins, but I think that's why the respect was there, that we both wanted to win. We both are winners. And yeah, like I say, my family had moved back up north and was growing up. So that's what happens in football. You get older, you get injured, you get clubs, and so that's the case.
Well, it's been great as usual, Byron, and all the best to you and your family, and also in securing a new contract elsewhere.
Thank you
Until
very
the
much.
next time, thank you for coming on the show, and we all wish you the best. Have a great afternoon, Byron.
Yeah.
Cheers on you
Byron.
guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Byron. Great stuff.
Cheers.
We will take a break there, but our review of the top 20 of Millwall goal scorers of the 21st century takes a break this week as we move straight on to a young man with the family name of Dorney just after the break.
Bethany Warren here again. Thank you for listening to our show. Don't forget, Love Sport Radio is now mothballed pending change in current pandemic conditions. Love Sport are still running previous programmes and you can hear some programmes on demand online. You can still listen to repeat programmes both online and on DAB. Hopefully we'll be back on the air with them quickly when conditions improve. In the meantime, watch out for our podcast adverts on Facebook and Twitter. Our podcast show links are available on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, Spreaker, iTunes, SoundCloud and Pinterest.
I'm Eamon and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Pat and George for Fan in the Dugout, and we welcome a young man whose father played for the Lions back in the 70s. Dennis Burnett, another player from that time, referred to that player as solid to play alongside in Dennis's recent interview special. That player was Alan Dorney, and tonight we welcome his son James as Fan in the Dugout. Welcome, James.
Evening. How you doing?
We're all fine and great to have you on. So,
No problem.
Was it your father, Alan Dorney, playing for Millwall that ensured that you would follow the Lions? Or was there some other reason?
Well, no, I mean, it's basically the sole reason why I've gone down the Millwall route, because it wasn't quite as clear cut when I first started following football. Not a lot of people know about my dad, actually, that although he is a Bermondsey boy and the family are all out of Bermondsey, the actual club on my dad's side of the family, don't ask me what the connection is, it might be the Woolwich thing, but they're all Arsenal fans on my dad's side of the family. And he, I think as a boy, he used to go to Mill. He used to go to obviously the old Den as a boy. That was his local club. But even he was like he had an affiliation. He had a bit of an affiliation to Arsenal as well. It was only when he obviously started playing that him and my nan and granddad, that their sort of ties started going towards the Millwall way. And so when I come along many years later, and probably after the Italian 90 World Cup was when I started. I wasn't really interested in it up until then, and I was about 6 years old, and I started taking an interest then. It was kind of I kind of grew up like that in my house, and we followed two teams. I never used to see anything weird about it, but I mean, obviously, looking back now, it's just wrong, isn't it? But it was just in my house. It was like the family are all Arsenal supporters, but Dad played for Millwall, and we go to the Den, we go to Highbury, we go to the Den, we go to Highbury, and I used to get bought like both kits. I was a confused kid, to be honest, up until I was about 12. Up until I was about 12, 13. And then I suppose I started going, when I went to secondary school, and people used to say, like, how can you support two teams? And I got fed up in the end of saying, well, my family are all Arsenal, but my dad played for Millwall. So in the end, I just used to. I think I got to the point. I was at that age when I started to really appreciate like what we did, what my dad did. Like the sort of achievement, playing best part of 10 years, for the club. A lot of my friends were. A lot of my closer mates at that point were all Millwall supporters as well. So it was just natural. I was about 12, 13, and I kind of nailed me colours to Millwall. Certainly weren't with a glory then, because we were hanging about in like the third tier. It was about 97, 98, I think. If I remember right, I think Paul Shaw was about the only thing we had to cheer about back then. So, yeah. But, yeah, no, so sorry, cut a long story short. That's kind of... It's a bit of a roundabout way, but we got there in the end with firmly being a Millwall fan,
Well, that's a bonus. Thanks, James.
I think I've killed his legend, because I think everyone had it in their head that he come from this mad Millwall supporting family, But yeah,
well, certainly some of his neighbours who lived around that way. So.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Don't get me wrong. He did used to go. Down there. But like I say, it's. Don't ask me what the connection was. I don't know if it was my granddad. I really don't know. But yeah, that was the norm for me. Like I say, and then I've given my head a wobble by the time I was about 12, 13. I'll be honest. Best like the last 20 years. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have wanted to support a better club, really. You know, like what with everything you had. You know, it's been a great time, isn't it, to support.
James, it's George here. Nice to talk to you because your dad was one of my favourite guys, actually, playing for the Lions.
He's one of mine and all, mate.
What did you make of our performance against Swansea on Tuesday?
Oh, it was frustrating, wasn't it? God, two points. You got to look at it, ain't you? 2 points dropped again. You know, like a bit like Barnsley. Mason Bennett going off went off pivotal, wasn't it? You know, like I thought first half. Bennett, he seemed to have got better. He had a good game, didn't he, at Forest just before lockdown, and then he looked. And in the first half, what was good about the first half, I thought, against Swansea, for the first time. Well, not for the first time, but it was becoming more regular in a long time. But for years, if ever we're going to create anything, it's always coming through Jed Wallace and Marlon Romeo, isn't it? Or a set piece. Yeah, what Mason Bennett seems to be giving us, I think, especially that first half, it makes the other side, gives them more to think about. You know, we haven't just got to block off their right wing. There's something coming down the other side. I thought first half was brilliant. Second half, you know, you could tell that they got their tails up, didn't they, early in the second half, and then you had a feeling something that they could score. I mean, the free kick. I don't know if you know, he moved the ball over, didn't he, to give himself a bit of a better angle to take it. If I'm clutching at straws there, but he. I mean, but once the second goal, once like their second goal, their goal went in. I thought. Again, we were in the ascendancy, really, weren't we, most of the time? I probably would have bought on Matt Smith a bit earlier, if I'm being honest, because we were winning so many free kicks and corners. It was made for him, wasn't it, to come on and cause a bit of chaos. And Bradshaw at the minute, it's just not happening for him, is it? Like, I think in that formation, it just don't suit him, unfortunately. I think.
Hello, James. It's Pat here.
Hello, Pat.
Not that I don't think we used them to the effect on that game, the subs. But what do you think about the 5 substitutes for the final games?
Listen, I understand why they're doing it at the minute. It's obviously what's gone on in the last few months. It's not for me though. You know, I think it kind of gives it. Even without a crowd there, you know, it kind of gives it that feeling already, but it gives it even more of a feeling of like a pre-season friendly, doesn't it? And I mean, it's not for me. I'm sure the players aren't moaning about it, especially the subs who probably getting a more chance of an appearance bonus. But it's it's definitely not for me. They're not keeping it, are they? I'm not.
I think the Premiership are talking about trying to keep it next season. But I don't like it. I'm much like you. Yeah, no, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, to be honest. But yeah, no, not for me. But I can understand why they're doing it at the moment. I just hope it's a temporary measure.
Tell us who is your standout player in the current side and why you rate him as such, James.
Standout player. Listen, it's hard to say. I don't really want to state the obvious. Is Jed and Bart have been our best players this season. I think everyone will accept that. Malumbi, I think, is going to be a brilliant player. It's just a shame he's not ours. If I'm going to say a player that I'm going to say Murray Wallace because I think for me personally, I think he's come so far in a short space of time. I mean, I don't know what I use, but I used to feel that he looked uncomfortable as a left back. You know, he used to look like a centre half playing left back, and used to look a bit cumbersome. And every second touch seemed to be a tackle. And I don't know if Rowett, I'm imagining so. I mean, he was a full-back himself, wasn't he? I don't know if he, testament to what him or Callum Davidson, when he was there, what they've done with him on the training pitch. But, I mean, he's come on so much, I think, this season. I mean, I remember the first game that Rowett switched to this wing-back system, and I remember seeing like the three centre backs, Pierce, Cooper, and Hutchinson, and seeing Murray Wallace in it as well. And I was thinking, surely he's not going to play him as a wing back. He looked after a few games. He looked an absolute natural there, didn't he? I mean, I don't know if you can remember now. It was a while back, but that first goal against Forest before. Yeah. I mean, that was brilliant. I mean, if someone told me a year ago he'd be doing that, I would have been like, no, like, you're winding me up. And I think the last two games as well, he's been brilliant in that left-sided centre-half role. So, you know, he's proving versatile as well as putting in some really good performances for us, I think.
It's interesting, James, because we had Kai Bennett, the guy from Millwall Fan TV, in the dugout last week, and he said exactly the same as you. Wallace and Bart, the players that stick out, and Malumbi, what a player he is. I love him as a player, Malumbi. But Wallace, Murray Wallace, yeah, that was his man.
He's for me. Like I say, I just think he's come a very long way in a short space of time under Rowett. Like technically, I think he was always a solid defender. I think technically, he's as with the rest of the side, they're all looking a lot more comfortable on the ball now, aren't they? So,
Right. So a very important game with Charlton tonight. Would you go with the same team that Rowett put out for Swansea, or would you tweak that a bit?
All depends on. I know there's a big divide, really, isn't there, amongst the supporters? Are we better with the 4 and the 4-3, the 4-2-3-1, or the wing backs? I mean, it all depends on Mason Bennett. I don't know how bad that injury was. I mean, if he's playing, if he's fit, I'd go with the same. Probably take. I would take Bradshaw out, take the heat off. I think he looks like someone who's forcing it a bit at the minute, trying a bit too hard, and like a lot of hard running, and it's just not coming off for him. I'd probably go with Matt Smith. I know he's struggled. I know Rowett don't seem to like him in that formation, but I think if you just told him, look, just play with. I know he's not the most mobile. If you just said to him, look, play within the whips of the 18-yard box, and play to your strengths, and in Fergie, in Jed, in Marlon, you've got players who can put a decent ball in. That's the way I would go striker-wise. Yeah. That's the one drawback for me of that wing-back formation we play, is that it's a tough gig being a lone striker, and we don't seem to have the striker to suit it. They play well off each other, but on their own, they both seem to struggle. If Mason Bennett isn't fit, I'd probably if Mason Bennett isn't fit, given it's a local derby, I'd ask Tomo what you got in the tank. You know what I mean, and get what we can out of him, because you know he's going to get it. It's a local derby. He knows that they're going to be desperate to beat us, and even you said to him, give us what you've got fitness wise, and you know he can join in. You know, if Mason Bennett isn't fit, you know, like if Mason Bennett's fit, I'd go with the same lineup with a change of striker. I'd keep the same midfield too. I thought the way they played the other night against Swansea, you can't really drop them after that.
Yeah, glad to see Tomo back.
Yeah. I mean, he's grown on me. He's definitely grown on me. Like, I've always liked the energy he brings, but I think technically, Kenny Jackett done wonders for him at Portsmouth. He's come back a different player. So, it's good to have him back.
We've got 2 points from 9, which ain't great in anyone's
book.
Any more? Do you see any stumbling blocks further in the next 6 games? And the big question is, you can end with this one. Do you think we're going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, we've given ourselves a bit of a mountain now, haven't we? But we all know what this league's like. If you can put 2 wins on the bounce together and other teams drop, teams drop points all the time, it changes the whole complexion of it, doesn't it? As for stumbling blocks, I mean, it's take your pick, really, isn't it? I mean, we're playing Blackburn, who are in a similar position to us. Without the crowd, we're a different proposition for teams when they're coming to us now. I don't think we quite have that fear factor. I mean, we've all seen other teams turn up before, and you can see sometimes that when we're all behind them, I don't really fancy this today, and you can see them roll over. But that probably ain't going to be the case. And then, I mean, QPR are getting sucked in, aren't they? They're not. You'd like to think they'll be out of it by then, so it's a nothing game for them. And then the others they're all scrapping for survival. So there's not really any easy game there, is there? They're all potential stumbling blocks.
No, they are difficult.
You've got to hit them head on with 6 cup finals, isn't you, and see where it takes you.
So, James, assuming you've got no Charlton in the family, it shouldn't be difficult to predict the score for tonight.
Well, my in-laws are full of Charlton, but
right. Okay.
That ain't difficult, though. I'd say it's one of life's certainties, isn't it? Charlton not beating Millwall, so that's. So
what prediction you're going to give us?
I think. Listen, let's not kid ourselves. As you alluded to earlier, they've kind of hit the ground running, haven't they? Coming back, and we're labouring a bit. Like 2 in 7, I think they've picked up. Well, they picked up. Sorry, we've picked up 2 in 9. They've picked up 7 in 9, haven't they? So, I think it'll be a tough game, but I'd settle for a. I'd repeat the last time to 2-1. 2-1. Anything different? Any loss, I'll be turning my phone off for a month. I think after the grief I gave them last time after Matt Smith's win, I think I'll be changing my number.
Well, that ain't a bad idea, is it? That's all, no. James, thanks for sharing your thoughts with us.
No problem at all.
And passed on our best wishes to your father.
Yes, will do.
We all remember him well.
But
let's be hopeful for that result tonight. And
let's hope
it is that 2-1. It'll be great. It'll be great. Take care. Bye now.
Cheers, James.
Cheers. Thank you.
In this next segment, we hear from the Lionesses, and first up is Bethany Warren talking to a Lionesses captain, Libby Stubbs, about the season past and the season ahead. Let's hear what they spoke about.
Hi, Libby. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Very good.
How have you been finding the lockdown?
It's been a weird one, but getting through it, still trying to tick along. I've still been at work, so that's kept me quite normal.
Oh, good. At least you're keeping busy. Yeah. So we've got a couple of questions for you. So as a captain of the Lionesses, what did you think of the team that you led in the 6th tier until the season was abandoned?
So I think the team we had last season was a really strong team, especially for the league that we're in. We proved that when we played the teams that were higher than us, like Kent and Crystal Palace, and the teams in the cup, the League Cup, with the teams in the division above. I think we've got a really strong team. We'll carry on, hopefully building on that for next season. And it's just a shame that we couldn't get the league win.
Oh, I know. It's such a shame. Everyone was so gutted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Really
what's your hopes and aspirations for the next season coming?
So next season, obviously, we need to win that league. We need to get out of that division. The team is way too strong, and Millwall is too much of a historic club to be sitting in Tier 6. We don't deserve that. So the main goal for next season is carry on pushing as we have done and get the league win, get the promotion.
Nice. Have you got any idea of when you'll start playing again or what's going on?
Well, we're starting to do some strength and conditioning sessions just in small groups as the FA have allowed. And as of in a couple of weekends, hopefully we'll get back to training in small groups, just with some technical things. But yeah, absolutely gagging to get back. I cannot wait to get back training and playing.
Yeah, I bet. It feels like it's just been far too long since anyone's been able to watch, play, or just even see a bit of football.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely look forward to the women's football coming back, because I don't mind the men's football, but I think I need women's football back in my life. Yeah, so I definitely look forward to seeing you guys play.
Excellent. Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh, good. Well, that's all from us. So thank you so much for having the interview with us. We hope next season goes really well for you, and really, really hoping to see you out of Tier 6. Like you said, this team does not deserve to be in Tier 6 at all. It should be way higher.
Yeah, definitely. That's the main goal for next season. So hopefully we're going to carry on being unbeaten.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and good luck and stay safe.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Well, Libby sounds positive for the season ahead. Jeff, you saw and heard of the successes that the Lionesses had last season, but it sounds like they are to stay put in the same league for the forthcoming season. What's your take on that?
Well, I saw most of the games. I saw all the home games except one. I think I was otherwise engaged that day. Saw a few away games. Libby's a central midfield player, and she has had a very consistent season indeed. She is a natural leader. We went through the entire league season unbeaten in the league, and it's cruel that all that level of football was all declared by the FA as null and void with no promotion and relegation. So we've got to do it all over again. And but in football, if you stand still, you're in trouble. We've got to improve. That division will improve, and we've got to improve if we're going to win it.
Yeah, I think that's the key and what is essential. Now, moving on in what's happening, because there's quite a bit going on around the Lionesses. The Millwall Community Trust is now starting its own female football academy to be officially launched in September. And the new programme will cater for teams at under 12, under 14 and under 16, with a clear pathway to the first team with the Millwall Lionesses senior side. Trials are coming up shortly on the 11th and 12th of July at St Paul's Sports Ground, Salter Road, Rotherhithe. But my question to you, Jeff, is what do you feel about the underpinning arrangements moving from the regional talent club to an academy?
Well, the FA have run the regional talent centres for a number of years. We've produced a lot of players. Most recently, one of the most recent members of the England team just called up is a young lady called Grace Fisk, who's just done 3 years at university in America. She came through our regional talent centre. They're going to be changing the whole system again next year.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Year. So I don't think it's a great problem that we're not doing an RTC this coming season. The under 12, under 14, under 16 structure is exactly the same as we had under an RTC, although I think there was an under 10 team as well in the RTC. So the good thing is that the first team and the youth side of the Lionesses are now under the same banner, and without the FA telling us what to do with the youngsters. So that's good, and I'm sure the standard will be high. Although the idea that a young girl player is going to be playing for an FA regional talent centre with the big name, the Charltons and the Arsenal, the Chelseas and the Arsenals. But there you are. I'm sure we'll still produce players because we're Millwall Lionesses. We're full of history and we're in the right part of London. We'll produce players. I'm not in any doubt about that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of other bits that are of benefit in the process. My understanding is that under the RTC, they were restricted in the amount of games that they could play. and actually the academy will give them a greater freedom to play more games. And top up on that is also that, as you mentioned, I think that maybe next year the whole structure of RTCs is going to be changing. But I suppose on the downside with the RTC, considering it is an FA-driven system, there's only just over 30 sides in it. So it's interesting. But I think, like you, that we'll be successful for all the right reasons. We are who we are, and the history stands there for us in good stead. Now, just going back to the academy, if you know of a girl that can, get them to register for a place at the trials by emailing dpalmer@millwallcommunity.org.uk. That's DPALMER, all one word, and Millwall Community is all one word too. That's dpalmer@millwallcommunity.org.uk. By the way, those trials which are taking or due to take place on the 11th and 12th of July are still subject to appropriate relaxation of existing lockdown measures and guidance related to the COVID-19 outbreak. Your Lionesses need you. So, if you know or if you have a girl that can, get them to go along. Lastly, the Lionesses announced the appointment of Katie Whitmore as their new boss, with Nick Farrell being appointed as assistant manager and head of recruitment on Wednesday. Here is what Katie had to say when interviewed by the Lionesses media team.
Welcome to Millwall, Katie Whitmore. How does it feel to be in charge of Millwall Lionesses, being a fan yourself?
Yeah, really good. I think obviously being part of Millwall in the sense of being a fan all my life, being part of the RTC, and now taking on this role as well. I'm very excited to see what this season has in store for us.
Excellent. What are the aims this season for Millwall Lionesses? Obviously we did well in the league last year and in the cup competitions. What's the aims this year?
So same as last year in the sense of, we always want to head for that promotion. It's going to be the exact same this year. We want to have a successful season. The girls did really well last year. The aim is to obviously make it player centres as well. I want to make sure that the girls feel part of the team, not just on the pitch but off the pitch.
Excellent. And then obviously this season is going to have some new things off the pitch in terms of the academy setup compared to the RTC. I know it's really important to yourself to have a pathway for the girls. Can you just expand on that a little bit more for us?
So one of the main things for me is making sure that these ladies are role models for the next generation. So from all the way from Wildcats, so under sevens, all the way through to our senior team, making sure that they're role models to just inspire those to come forward and come through the pathway to be eventually a first team player.
Excellent, Katie. Thank you and welcome to Millwall.
Thanks.
Well, thank you to the Lionesses media team for that clip. Jeff, both Katie and Nick are lifelong Lions fans. What do you make of these appointments following the departure of Colin Reid?
Well, the chair of the Lionesses is now Dean Palmer, the same Dean Palmer whose email address you read out a minute or two ago.
That's the man.
He comes from a family that are steeped in Millwall as well. His brother is an important member of the Boys Academy, and his nephew is Casey Palmer, who a lot of people will know has played against us. I don't know Katie. I've heard brilliant things about her, and I'm looking forward to seeing her take on this team. Nick, I do know he's been with us before and proved very effective in the roles he's had before. I've always believed that recruitment is an underrated, very important part of any team. And although all the players, or most of the players from last season will be back, we did sometimes go out with a bare 11, maybe 12, and that wouldn't be good enough in the new setup. So there's plenty of space for senior trialists, and I believe that we've got about 80 people who begged for a trial with the senior team, which is brilliant. So I'm hoping that it will be very good, and I can only say to Millwall fans, St Paul's Sports Ground, Salter Road in Rotherhithe, you can park on the street, it's free to go in, and I would like to see the crowds come and watch. 300 to 400 a game would be fantastic.
Well, let's hope we get them here in big numbers, and it all sounds good. I mean, 80 people wanting to get a trial. That's excellent. And let's hope those Lionesses can move up from the 6th tier and get back to where they belong. We're going to take a break now and then be back with a preview of tonight's 8:15 match at the London Borough of Greenwich and our Wednesday game against Middlesbrough.
Hi, Patricia Maslin here. The Millwall Community Trust needs volunteer help. Whether you're an organisation with bodies able to assist or an individual, the Trust needs you during the pandemic to support the vulnerable and the needy. If you can help make a difference, please contact Sean Daly, the Trust's Chief Executive Officer. You can contact him by phone on 07 958 027060. Once again, that's 07 958 027060. Or you can contact him by email, sdaly, that's SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. I'll repeat that, sdaly, spelt SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. Thanks again if you think you may be able to help or you know someone who might.
I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Pat, Jeff, George and BBC and Millwall I Follows Carl Bates, who they couldn't mute when we were playing Swansea, to preview our away day at Charlton tonight and Middlesbrough next Wednesday at 3 p.m. But first up to our consideration is a discussion around tonight's game against Charlton or the Royal Borough of Greenwich. Pat, what's your hopes?
My hopes is obviously that we win. I think this is going to be one of our toughest games against them in the last 25 years. I'm expecting a draw, but I don't know. They've not lost in their last 3, have they? 2 wins and a draw.
Yeah, 7 points.
We've not come back roaring, have we? I just hope the lads realise how important it is to the fans, even though we're not there, and
Jeff?
really step up their game.
Jeff, how about yourself?
This is a very hard one to predict. Very difficult one to predict. Charlton, as Pat's just said, Charlton are the form team, 7 points out of 9, including a draw away at Cardiff, where they were comfortably worth a draw. So their Tuesday performance and ours, theirs was the better. But we don't know who's tired, who's got injuries, who's got little knocks. We don't know who's got the better, more effective bench. I just think we need to have a bit more teeth. I expect him to make changes, and I'm going to go for a nail-biting draw.
Okay then. George, give us your view and your prediction.
Lyle Taylor isn't playing for him, is he?
No.
No.
And I to be honest, I'm surprised. I thought once that had happened, they would struggle, and they've proved me completely wrong, and are doing very well, of course. I think I would like to see Bradshaw and Smith up the front, if I'm honest, to create some sort of spearhead. And I think they're on a roll. We are struggling. I think I heard what the boys and girls said about being lacklustre. I think it's going to be a draw at best for us.
Carl, from the sort of, that commentator perspective.
Well, I was doing my research earlier on, and since lockdown, as we said, Charlton haven't been beaten in 3. They haven't conceded any goals at all.
Yeah.
Last 2 matches at the Valley Hill, and Lee Bowyer likes to shuffle this pack. 7 changes he made for that 0-0 draw at Cardiff. Millwall have drawn the most in the league, 17 now. So for me, this has got a 0-0 draw written all over it.
Okay.
Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we'll go for it. But yeah, I think Gary just needs to, just relax a bit and think more attacking. He seems to be really nailed on for a 0-0. Let's see if we can pinch one. I think we need to go the other way round, and if anything, just simply try and outscore him.
That's my view, and I think we might come away with a 2-1 win. The last time I said that, we lost to Derby, but never mind. That's the views on Charlton Millwall tonight. Don't miss it. 8:15 on Millwall I Follow with Carl Bates. Right, quickly over to Millwall versus Middlesbrough next week on Wednesday afternoon kick-off at 3 p.m. George, thoughts and, of course, your prediction?
Well, if I'm right in thinking here, I believe Middlesbrough are actually leaving on the day to come down to us, aren't they?
That's an alleged version. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Because that would make it a really long day for them guys. They're not doing particularly well. I think they're in dire straits, to be honest, and I'm going to go for us to win 3-0 for that game.
Goodness gracious, George! I bet old Warnock ain't thinking along those lines at all. But there you go. Yeah, certainly that sounds like a good result. How about you, Pat?
Oh, I think if we can beat Charlton, I think we'll be riding high, and as George said, it's going to be a good win, and we can look at the playoffs again. So, assuming we do beat Charlton, I'll give us a 2-0 win against Middlesbrough, and we'll be back on the playoffs.
Well, that sounds reasonable. How about you, Carl?
Hopefully, buoyed by a victory over Charlton up the road, we can come into this with a bit of confidence. All the teams around us seem to be beating each other, so if we can beat Charlton, come into this game and pick up another 3 points, then who knows, maybe a playoff push is still within us. So I'll go for 2-0 and Smith to get both of them.
Jeff?
I watched them last night play at Hull, and they don't know how to win, even with Neil Warnock there. They should have won that game, really. They lost it in stoppage time. It's left them in trouble. I think they'll be fighting for their lives. I'm going to go for a Millwall win, but I think they're not as bad a side as their league position suggests. But I'm going to go for a Millwall win. Narrow.
Yeah.
If Mason Bennett's fit for either of these games, my earlier remarks about the front three not being up to it, he definitely improves that front three.
Yeah, he can make a difference, and that's for sure. I'd go against Middlesbrough with a slight win. You're right, Jeff. I think they are a better team than the team that actually seems not to be able to do anything. They've just struggled under managerial arrangements. So yeah, I'll go for a 1-0 for the Middlesbrough game. Now all I'm after is a snap response. I don't need to know reasons why. Playoffs still on or not, Pat?
Sensible head on no.
Jeff?
I don't think we're in the top 6 teams, but if we win these 2 games we've been talking about, it's absolutely back on.
Okay.
So let's listen next week. Whoever's on that panel next week, I'm hoping we'll have got 6 points. If we have done that, or even 4 points, it is back on. But that's the minimum, I think, 4 points.
Super, Jeff. George, just your snap decision, mate?
Yeah, I better just talk quick after Jeff.
Yeah.
Not on.
No. Carl?
Afraid not. We'll fall short. I think we're going to draw a couple.
And that'll be the stumbling block. Thanks very much, Carl, for being with us this lunchtime. We know you've got to dash off to the valley now. So we'll catch you later. Bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
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 People continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus. Many remain hospitalised too, and the after effects can be life-changing. Our thoughts go out to their families, friends, and those that care for them.
This week sees the launch of yet another special interview with one of our all-time greats, when Les Briley, so Les, enters the chair of telling and recounts his journey into football MILLWALL and his early career at the Den. This first episode will be available on Tuesday morning. Don't miss it. And in Rowett we trust tonight that something good will happen at the Valley.
It will be Jeff, Bethany and Ted who will be with you back at our normal time next Friday of 8 p.m. Enjoy your afternoon. Come on, you Lions, from Pat.
Now, don't forget, guys, you can use a pass or pay to tune into audio or the stream service to hear our Carl Bates, who you've heard earlier on. Tonight, make sure you can access your iFollow account early in advance because there have been some problems. And let's hope our run against Charlton continues.
Well, let's not forget to still keep it safe on the streets out there, which means social distancing and a face mask where necessary. That's it from me, Eamon. Thanks, guys. Let's be hopeful for tonight. Until the next time, enjoy and keep roaring.